so please start finding your seat. We'll start in 2 minutes.
Find us here, Johansson, Reinhardt, Roberts. He is not here.
So who's the third? Oh, okay, no, yeah, I got you. Yeah. So the same, it's basically the same people. No, it's good. It's off. If everyone could please settle down and sit, find your seat. Thank you, everyone. Lively group today. Thank you, everyone. Good morning. We are getting started. Welcome to this beautiful Friday morning. Whether it's rainy or not, Fridays are always beautiful. So I want to start first with a few housekeeping items. And I want to kick it off with, you see on the screen, it's hurricane season, and we have a little friend kind of passing by in the Atlantic Ocean. And the county put together what I think it's an amazing app for these kinds of situations, for emergency situations. So if you could take out your phone, that would be great if you could scan this QR code. This is something that all of us should have, and everyone in the community should have. It's an app, and it has geo-tracking, and if you find yourself, there's a hurricane, it knows where you are, and it can tell you what resources are near you. So it's a great communication tool, and I think this is something that we as a community, especially we leaders here, should encourage people in the county to use it. So I'll give you a second to scan it. While you do so, everyone, and once you're done scanning that, please put your cell phones in silent mode. Don't turn them off, and keep them on the table because you will need them for this presentation. And so bathrooms are to your left, okay, through the double doors. Today's event is being live captioned, live streamed. You would go to volusiabusiness.org. That's a new domain, so volusiabusiness.org. And you would look for the media center, and within there you'll find closed captioning. There are question cards at each of your tables, and during the panel, if you have any questions, you can actually write them down, and our staff will come over to read the questions to the panel. So with that said, please, if everyone could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Play ball. Now I'd like to take a moment to recognize some of our special guests in the room. In alphabetical order, we have Congressman Randy Fine. He's walking right up. There he is. Jake Johansson, Volusia County Council Member at Large. Matt Reinhardt, Volusia County Councilman. And Will Roberts, Volusia County Tax Collector. If I have missed any elected officials, please stand to be recognized. All right. So I'd like to bring up first County Councilman Jake Johansson for a proclamation. So if everyone can help me welcome Jake Johansson. That's right there.
I thought he was going to say if everyone can help him read the proclamation, so see if we can get through this. It's my pleasure to give you this proclamation today by the county. As most of you in the business know, I am a strong proponent of workforce development. My wife and I have worked pretty hard to get the right people in the right jobs. And so what you do, and everybody here, what you do here to make workforce development an important piece of our county drives the economic vitality. It's very important. So on behalf of the county, I'm going to read a few whereases and we'll get down to business. Whereas a skilled and dynamic workforce stands as a bedrock of economic prosperity, innovation, and community resilience in Volusia County, and whereas our Volusia County Economic Development Division forges strategic partnerships with local businesses and organizations, cultivating an environment where industry leaders can access the skilled talent necessary to thrive in today's competitive marketplace, and whereas CareerSource Brevard Flagler Volusia serves as our region's premier workforce catalyst, delivering comprehensive career services and personalized guidance that transforms job seekers into career-ready professionals. In the past year, the agency assisted 544 businesses and 8,507 job seekers and placed 126 individuals in employment in Volusia County. And whereas Daytona State College's Mary Carl College of Workforce and Continuing Education empowers our residents through cutting-edge training initiatives, certification programs, and lifelong learning opportunities that bridge the gap between current skills and future industry demands. And whereas Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University also contributes significantly to economic development through its state-of-the-art research park and partnership with Boeing, which will bring 400 high-paying jobs to Volusia County. And whereas through collaborative efforts with local governments, educational institutions, and private industry, our workforce development system helps create a sustainable talent pipeline that strengthens our regional competitiveness. I would also like to add thank you to the Chambers of Commerce for being part of that solution. Now therefore, we, the County Council of Volusia County, Florida, do hereby proclaim September 25 as Workforce Development Month. As you can see, most, if not all of us, have signed it as well.
If we could have representatives of Embry-Riddle, Daytona State College, and CareerSource come to the front to get your framed proclamation and also for a photo opportunity. Here you are, I'll give you so you can pass them along. Here you go. Matt, thank you. Jim, there you go. So let me wrangle people here. We need some chairs, okay? How many do you need?
Maybe 5 or 6.
All right, we got this. And if everyone can get really tight like you like each other, so we can get everyone in the photo, get really shoulder to shoulder. Shoulder to shoulder, tighter, tighter. Amy, a little more.
We need a few more sitters. Who wants to sit? Okay.
You want me to get the chairs? You want to get these two out?
No. Everybody move a seat down because you're not centered. I'm sorry. There.
King of turning a 30-second thing into a 2-minute.
All right, this is nice. Okay. This is what we do. All right.
So I'm a county councilor.
Do it again. Nice. Gotcha.
Thank you. I'm gonna move these. Thank you, Matt. See how efficient we are? We did this in about a minute. Now, if I can please help me welcome Congressman Randy Fine for an update on state and federal legislation.
Thanks, everybody. For those of you who haven't met me before, I'm Congressman Randy Fine. I got elected your congressman 136 days ago. And for those who don't know the story, briefly, on November 5th, I was elected a state senator after having served in the Florida legislature for the previous 8 years, focused on education and workforce.
He wants
That's what I did during
handheld
my
mic.
time.
Can we get one?
2 weeks after my election, I got a call from another guy who had gotten elected on November 5th. His name was Donald Trump. And he asked me to come and join the administration. And I said, sir, I like being in the legislature, but if you need my help, I'll get together and we'll talk about it. And we agreed that we'd come down to Mar-a-Lago. As the call was ending, he said, you know, I just made Mike Waltz my national security advisor. Thank you. I just made Mike Waltz my national security advisor. Maybe you could go and run for that. And I said, sir, we'll talk about it. I'll come down. I'll meet with you. Thanks for thinking about me. I did just have 3 elections. 3 days later, I was taking a nap. I woke up from the nap with my wife yelling at me. Those of you who are married may experience things like this from time to time. And she's yelling at me. She's asking, Randy, why are my friends calling me, telling me that you're running for Congress? I said, I'm not exactly sure. So I grabbed my phone. It doesn't work because when you get 1,000 text messages in 1 minute, your phone will overheat. And that's what happened to mine. I put it in the freezer. 5 minutes later, I took it out. It cooled off, and I found that the president had gone online on social media and called on me to run. And so I called him and I said, sir, you know, I thought we were going to meet about it. He said, well, you told me you'd do anything I needed, and now you can't say no. And so here I am. And I wanted to come today because my election was very accelerated, the nature of a special election. And during that time we had the election, I was in the state Senate. And I take the jobs that people vote me to very, very seriously, which is why I'm here today. We have a 5-week August work period. It's the first time that I've had an extended break since I got elected 135 days ago. So I just wanted to briefly update you on what we're doing. Over those 135 days, we've put together a full staff. We had to start from scratch. There was no one for us to hire. We've hired 15 people. We've opened 6 district offices, including one in every county that is in my district. I represent all or part of 6 counties. Our office in Volusia is in DeLand. I have Stephen. I don't know where you went. Oh, he's taking pictures of me. Hopefully one will be good. But Stephen is my district director. Grab his card if you need anything. We've helped almost 400 people already with their federal constituent needs, dealing with the IRS, immigration, veterans benefits, freed up almost $2 million of money for individuals that the government owed them. And we've actually been able to already start to get money coming back to the district, including just yesterday, $100,000 in DeLand for their municipal airport to help them with some work. So we're working on things every day. Biggest thing I've been proud to work on, I was the tie-breaking vote for President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, which, as would affect all of you, it extended the tax rates that most of you pay, that you've had since 2017, but it created new tax benefits for many of your employees. No tax on overtime, no tax on tips. For 88% of the seniors I represent, no tax on Social Security. And one new tax cut that people don't know about, no tax on the interest that you pay if you buy an American car. But the bill did many other things to improve a place like this, where we're going to modernize, for example, the air traffic control system. So it's been my honor to work for you. I know I don't have a lot of time today, but we're out and about. I've seen many of you already. We're doing 100 events around the district, because I have the time to do it. And this won't be the last time you see me, and it won't be the last time I do something like this. I never wanted to be a politician. I liked being a dad, and I liked being a businessman. That's what I did for 22 years. And I figure if people are going to entrust me to represent them, then I have to be out and spending the time to talk to them and understand their issues. So please don't be a stranger. Please let my office know if you need anything. Come visit me in D.C. And the last story I'll tell everybody this, because I believe God has a purpose for everyone, whether we like it or not, and whether we agree with it or not. My purpose is to do this. 5 days before President Trump sent out that tweet, my mom died. And I'll tell you, a great way to deal with grief of a parent passing is to run for Congress, because you don't have any time to think about it. But when I was 16 years old, I was a page for the House of Representatives for a year in Washington, D.C. And one day my mom came to visit me there. And when she was there, she wanted to buy me something in the souvenir store. I said, Mom, this is a waste of money. We didn't have a lot of money when I was a kid. This is a waste. It's heavy. I don't need it. But if you come to my office today, you will see I kept it for 35 years. It was sitting in a box in my garage, as happens with many children. You keep all your stuff that you gather from high school. But if you come to my office in Washington, D.C., you'll see the seal of a member of Congress that my mom bought for me 35 years ago. They don't make them like that anymore. There are 2 metal ones like that sitting in the Capitol. One is in my office. The other one is in the Capitol Museum. Now they're all styrofoam, and they paint over them. They don't make them that way. And so God's got a plan for us all for whatever reason. Actually, God and moms have plans for us all. But whatever that is, God has your plan, and what's what you're doing right now. Mine is to help all of you, and so I appreciate the opportunity to do it. And don't be a stranger, and let us know what we can do to help. But I appreciate the chance to be here, and I'm looking forward to listening to the rest of the program today. Thanks, everybody.
Let's talk data now. And what I need you to do now is, again, take out your phone. I told you to keep it available on the table. I want you to scan this QR code, and two things are going to happen. You're going to be able to interact with me. I have a few questions halfway in the presentation. And also, you will have the slides available on your phone screen. So you're welcome that now you can look at your phone happily. And so I'll wait for a moment until you scan. You will land, once you scan it, you will be on a page of the presentation. That's okay. It will advance automatically as I advance, okay? So don't think you're in the wrong place. Again, waiting just a second. All right, I'm going to move on in 3. All the hands go up. 2. 1. Okay, thank you. So let's start talking about permitting data, and let's talk about construction. So the way I'm going to structure this presentation, first we're going to talk about permitting data, then we're going to talk about employment, and then segue into our special topic today, which is trades, and how valuable and important trades are to a local economy. If you were here last time, I did say that there was a downward trend in commercial construction permitting, and as you can see now in the second quarter, we're strong again. If you compare the second quarter to last year, you see that we're stable, okay? So we're in the presence of a stable permitting, commercial permitting environment. And if you see where we're investing that money, let me focus first on multifamily housing. A few Q-Brexes ago, I mentioned that there's still an influx of people coming into our community. People are moving into Volusia County, and they need a place to live. And very often, that place to live is a multifamily housing unit. When you build multifamily housing, it has a ripple effect in other commercial kinds of properties, like storage, retail, and other kinds of services. And notice that we have icons that we don't see all the time on this slide during this part of the presentation, like manufacturing, municipal, warehousing, and education. They may pop up here once or twice, but all of them at the same time is indicative of the investments that we're making across the board, across different industries in our community. And that's a good thing. That brings us economic resiliency. That means that we're investing in many different things, and so it makes us more, again, resilient to economic shifts and changes. Let's take a look now at this data from the perspective of residential permitting. Same situation. I had said that there was a slight downward trend in permitting and residential permitting, and we see now that the second quarter is higher than the second quarter of last year. So we're seeing stability here. That's a good thing. And despite the fact, and think about this, that we have still high interest rates and we still have high values of properties. If you checked your house on Zillow lately, you'll know that it's very high. And even then, with those two factors playing against it, we are in a stable permitting environment. Let's now take a look at employment. I don't want to assume that you have been in previous Q breakfast, so I'll tell you the whole story about what you see here on the graph. Okay, this is the employment rate in Volusia County across the year, starting with 2014. And you can see this very distinct pattern of growth across the years. And can everyone see the teeth? And there's a very distinct pattern, right? Very distinct. And you can almost tell what time of the year it is based on the graph. And then suddenly COVID comes, okay, sharp drop, but a great recovery afterwards. Now look at what happens after the recovery. We recovered, but that pattern that we saw back there no longer exists. It's sort of a little bit more, let me use the term erratic, or in this case, stable. If I were to label this last segment here as something, I would say it looks very stable compared to everything else behind it. And yes, employment rate, let me say unemployment rate, last quarter I reported at 4.0%, and now we are at 4.6. It's a slight increase, but businesses are actually benefiting from this because now they have a reasonable pool of people to draw from to be able to fill positions. So 4.6 is a very healthy number for our community. Okay, it's very well within normal ranges. And again, if you look at this part of the chart, it just looks stable. Let's take a look at where these folks are employed. We'll see gainers, losers, but overall, the balance, we have gained just a few jobs, okay? And we as a community always discuss the top industries, right? We always talk about healthcare, we talk about leisure and hospitality because they are the biggest employers in the county. And we have always said in this meeting that our job as a community is to make sure that all these green bars come all the way here. Why? Because if we have bars across the board, that means that we're well diversified as a community in terms of economy. And if something were to happen to one industry, we can rely on all the others to continue to thrive. That makes sense, right? So I want to focus the conversation right now on two specific industries, construction and manufacturing. Okay, they're sort of the middle of the pack, and we as a community invest a lot in growing those two industry sectors. To do so, and we're going to segue specifically into construction and manufacturing, I want to get a feel for the room to see what we think through, let me call it a game or questions. So take out your phones, and on Menti, you should be able to see this question pop up. What is the median age of construction workers in the U.S.? So 47 seems to be winning. Not by a whole lot. I'm seeing if 42 takes over. Come on, one more. It's actually 42, the average age in the U.S. Keep that in mind. So I have three questions. The second question, there you go. Thank you to that person. I appreciate you. Which trade is experiencing the fastest demand-based growth in the U.S. according to 2025 estimates? Come on, some love for the pipe fitters. Thank you. I'll give you a hint, that's not the right answer. There you go, okay. It's actually electricians. Come on. All right, one last question here. The median annual wage for electricians in 2024, 2025 in the U.S. was? That's a great question. Next question. So, all right, so it's so overwhelming that yes, it is 62,000. Let's now take a look at what that number looks like here in Volusia County. So let me walk you through this graph. The blue light graph is the average wage that we all here make, okay? Everyone in the county, our average wage right now is 53,322. Now if you look at the dark blue, that is construction, 59,000. And on top of that, we have manufacturing at 66,000. So do we like manufacturing and construction jobs? I think we do, okay? These are good jobs to raise our average, okay? Now, let's take a look at what examples of these occupations look like in our county. So for this, I'm going to need help. I'm going to need a scribe. So if I can call in Cyrus, please, Cyrus Callum. Cyrus is, by the way, our Director of Aviation and Economic Resources / my boss. Okay, so I'm going to put him to work. Let me kind of walk you through this graph. On the left-hand side, we have the different occupations within construction, followed by the average wage that they make nowadays. Then how many people are employed in the county in those specific occupations, and then their growth, expected growth in the next 8 years. Okay, hang tight, I'm going to give you the number in just a second. And here's the important number that I want you to notice. Here's how many positions, how many people we have to train over the next 4 years, okay, to be able to fulfill the demand of that growth of 10.4%. This number, by the way, includes people who will retire. We saw that, you know, the average age is 42. At some point, they will retire. And so we have to fill those positions back in. People move out of the county as well. We have to fill those positions. So we have a lot of people that we have to find. So if you could do me a favor, Cyrus, if you could write plumber, and then next to it, plumber, and 456 for me. While you do that, I am going 456. By the way, Cyrus has a really neat handwriting, and he writes really tiny. He can fit 3 lines in a single normal line of a notepad. It's incredible.
I want you guys to see this.
So now the same data for manufacturing. And the one thing that I want you to write, Cyrus, is welder to the tune of 400. So we need to train 400 individuals over the next 4 years to be able to fulfill the demand. Is that super clear? Okay, I see yeses. Okay, great. Now let's take a look at what's in the pipeline to fulfill this need. So take a look at this from an educational standpoint. Disclaimer, and let me explain what you're looking at. You're looking at different occupations, and each number is how many people educational institutions are cranking out every year, okay? So 147 construction workers, 53 HVAC technicians. Let me give you one important piece of information, and that is that we did not factor in the fact that some companies have their own training program. These are only educational institutions with programs that fit these occupations. If someone can do me a quick favor and multiply 38 employees per year times 8. Someone can do that math quickly. 38 times 8.
304.
304? Okay. 304, compare that to 4. Is that what electricians... I'm sorry, I did plumber. Okay, do the math differently. 6 times 4, and we have, look at the difference. So 453, that's a significant deficit. And welder, 4 times 8, 32, 32 versus 400. Big gap, right? Granted, there's some training programs at specific companies that would raise that number, but there's a significant difference. Now, this presents, and thank you, Cyrus, that's what I needed you to, for comparison purposes. I wanted you to see what the demand was, and I wanted you to have that number fresh compared to what is in the pipeline. This is a great opportunity, my friends. Why? At each of your tables, there should be a flyer that looks like this from the Volusia County schools, okay, specifically on this topic, on trades. And they're asking for partners. I encourage each of you to think of ways that you can partner with the Volusia County schools to see what we can do, how we can help. And also we have representatives of some very prestigious institutions like Daytona State and Embry-Riddle. We have a Career Source. They're all on the same mission to make sure that we have a pipeline of workers to be able to fill the positions that we need in this community over the next 8 years. So this is a very important flyer. If there's a way that you can partner this, if there's a way you can help, please do so. So with that, we are going to look now at the business side of the equation in trades, okay? So let's look at businesses. What you see here are graphs of how many businesses are registered every year in construction. So we have 4 different segments or sectors within construction. And the important thing here to note is that every year there are more and more businesses registered in construction. To the tune, if you look at construction of buildings, double the number since 2015. So there's a lot of activity there taking place. Let's look at the same data for manufacturing. Granted, there's a little slump right here, but overall, you can also see there's a trend that every year there are more and more businesses in manufacturing being registered. And this is, of course, at a national level. And you're probably wondering, how does that look like in Volusia County? And I got the data for you. So this is manufacturing, okay? Every year, across the bottom, tells you how many businesses exist in Volusia County that are specific to manufacturing. The green is individuals who are by themselves in the business, okay? It's a single person operation, and purple is that they have at least 1 employee, all right? Sort of an even-ish distribution, okay? But we have notice there's a lot of people in manufacturing by themselves. Let's take a look at that data for construction. A little more people this is a more entrepreneurial environment, okay? We have 5,555 businesses that are operated by a single proprietorship, a single person operating them, versus 2,066 businesses that have at least 1 employee. Let me make a pause here and kind of recap what we have heard. Wages in trades are good. We saw that. There's a great and a growing demand for those trades. And there's entrepreneurial activity and entrepreneurial opportunity in trades. And we see this by that number right there in orange. Now, we as a community, and when I say we, the United States as a whole, we typically see white-collar jobs, 4-year degrees, as a safer bet for the youth, right? We see it as a more stable opportunity than trades. So for that reason, we decided to assemble a panel, okay, that will tell their story as to how they went into it and how they transitioned from being a solopreneur, someone who's by themselves, to a growing business. So I'm gonna read the bios of our 3 panelists, and as I call them up, if you can please rise. So our first panelist is Scott Bowman from Bowman Painting. After spending 10 years in collegiate and professional sports in a public relations role, Scott Bowman founded Bowman Painting in 2006 to assist a friend build homes. Bowman then expanded into the commercial and residential repaint market. With the aid of a strong work ethic, a good business coach, and a strong team, Scott and his wife Lynette have grown Bowman Painting into a trusted source in Volusia County. The Bowmans have 2 sons, Kyle, 23, and Cole, 21, and reside in Ormond Beach. So help me welcome Scott. Our next panelist is Glen Harvey from AC Dr. Complete. After graduating high school in Maryland in 1987, Glen Harvey joined the U.S. Army, where he was an aircraft electrician for helicopter fleets for 4 years. He moved to Florida to attend motorcycle mechanic school and began a career in motorcycle servicing and repair. Glen then pursued an opportunity for a career in HVAC trade after his first daughter was born. He entered the industry as a maintenance technician and later serviced and installed units while attending Flagler County Adult Education for his HVAC certification. Upon receiving his Florida State HVAC license, Glen launched AC Dr. Complete in 2004, as well as other business ventures. Please help me welcome Glen. What?
Slide.
Okay. I had to advance the slide. And our last Panelist, last but not least, is Marc Hazen from Hazen Construction, a graduate of Daytona State College with a degree in building construction. Marc Hazen began his construction career in the early 1990s and quickly advanced from pipe installer to superintendent for a major utility contractor. Building on years of hands-on experience in site development and underground utilities, Marc earned his utility license in 2001 and founded Hazen Construction. Today, Marc remains actively involved in field operations, bringing unmatched expertise and leadership to every project. His in-depth knowledge and commitment to quality are key to the company's continued success. Please welcome Marc. I think each of you have, am I on? Testing? Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, let me lead the conversation with a comment/question. I mentioned just a moment ago that we as a community, we as a society tend to favor jobs that have either white-collar or four-year degrees jobs. They feel safer, and I think today's environment kind of makes us question that, especially when we think about AI. AI is going to have a direct impact on those jobs versus blue-collar jobs. And I know, for example, in my family, we have had our discussion. My son is about to go into, he's just started high school, and we're talking about already his career path, what that could look like. And this topic has come up in conversations, and each of you has had an interesting path to get to where you are. I would like to hear what was the circumstances and what was the thought process that led you to join trade as a viable career path. And I guess I'll kick it off with you, Scott.
Sure, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. But back in 2006, I started our business after spending about 10 years in collegiate and professional sports doing public relations. And really by accident, I found myself in the trades. I started my own painting business because a friend of mine needed some help building homes, and at the job I was at the time was kind of an in-between job, and it just wasn't really a fit for me. So I said, okay, I'll go do this. I'll open a business just to help my friend for a year and a half, and then I'll join his company. And that was in 2006. Of course, 2008, we had the big economic housing decline, and they went out of business, and we just kept going. And so it's worked out well for us. I always thought I'd get back to that original plan, and I'd be doing something else. The truth is, I never thought to own a business. I never wanted to be a paint contractor full-time. I really just fell into it, but as I got into it and saw the demand and saw it was a viable possibility, and as we grew, it's become a very viable business for us and our family.
Thank you. Glenn, how about you?
Yeah, in high school, enjoy school, enjoy learning, but always enjoyed work with my hands and fixing things, making things. The Army was just a natural choice. You get to shoot guns and you don't have to pay for the ammo. So, and I had a lot of fun there, and it was a lot of hard work and so forth. And then after that, I had a choice. I could go to, they had a GI Bill, different things there, different opportunities. But I didn't want that path, just sitting in an office there. That's a great path for some people, and it's not a path for some other people. So in construction, in the trades and so forth, you get a lot of gratification when you help someone, when you fix something for them, whether it's plumbing or air conditioning. If you ever had an air conditioning break and then the technician came out and fixed it for you and got your AC working, you probably thank that guy or girl. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of benefits to the trades, and it definitely can make a decent living in it. You make a decent living in anything, as long as you have the right work ethics and you have the right attitude behind it, so to say. So, yeah, I think some people, they get convinced or they're just told one story. They don't really research or think about what that looks like in 5 years or 10 years. And then they end up in a position where they may not really be happy or satisfied. And then things can go down from there. Where, like your son being in high school or starting high school, that's a great opportunity, a great time to think about what the next 10 years looks like and where he's going to be in his early, mid-20s. Yeah.
Thank you, Glenn. Yeah. Marc?
I think, thank you for having me today. I think for me, just when we moved to Florida, my dad was in construction, so it was kind of natural to work in the summers, and we had lawn businesses and all kind of different things. So as I graduated from high school, I figured I'd go to Daytona State and get a degree in construction and start my career in construction. And then, you know, working for other people, I kind of always looked at, if I owned the company, how would I treat it? And, you know, so if you, and that's what I look for in employees, is somebody that cares about the money, cares about the relationship. So, you know, when you're working for somebody else, if you use that and you know, take that work ethic, then, you know, you can advance in your field. So for me, that's all I knew, and then just growing up, running equipment and doing things, and then eventually having an opportunity to start my own company.
Thank you. You know, you said something key about family influence, and if you ask my son what he wants to do when he grows old, either an entrepreneur or economic director, you know, economic development. So like, yeah, sure. So I think there's definitely an influence there. Now, there's quite a few people out in the community who have, they're employed in these fields, and they're considering going at it on their own. You have been around for a while. What kind of advice would you give these individuals? Well, the pros and the cons. You want to go, Marc?
I can go, yeah. So if you're looking to start your own company, what I would say is, first, you really have to have a reason why. You're going to have a passion, because starting your own company isn't easy. It's a 24/7. You know, you're going to be Dr. Phil for your employees. You're going to be everything. And if you're doing it for the money, it's not going to be successful. So you really have to have a strong reason why. There's a lot of good companies out there that you can go to work for, earn a good living, retire, if that's what you want to do. If you want to start your own company, you really have to have something that drives you. For me, I was working for a local utility contractor. My son was born. He docked my pay. You know, my wife is home with 2 kids, 2 daughters, and so I was like, you know what? I can do this. I can start my own company, and I'll treat my employees right. And it wasn't easy, you know. It was a difficult journey, but I had that passion. And I loved what I did. I loved working with my hands. I loved running equipment, and you know, it took a year to get my license and to get on my feet and get going. So when you do that and you look at it in that aspect, that you're gonna, you know, treat people like you want to be treated, and you have a reason why. Because like I said, if you're doing it for the money, if you're doing it, I'm going to start a company because then I can take time off and I can go fishing, you're starting it for the wrong reason. That's not going to be the case. So you really have to understand what you're doing and have a higher purpose for starting your own business.
Thank you, Marc. Glen?
Yeah, exactly. Marc, you pretty much quoted, I think, from the Bible, Matthew 7, where it says, you know, however you wish to be treated, treat others the same. And a lot of people may go into business, and like you say, they do it to have the weekends off or take extended vacations, and it's completely opposite. So when you start a business, now you have all the clients that you have to take care of, and you have all the employees, and then you have all the legal aspects of it as well. So your plate definitely gets way overloaded. And if your heart and your mind's not in the right position, that can become overwhelming. And then that can cause people to drop out. Both these guys on the side of me, I would bet they never asked anyone to do something that they hadn't previously done. And that's pretty much got to be the mental, the attitude, the mindset, you know, if you go to take on that position.
Thank you. Scott?
Yeah, I think some of the pros are just being able to teach and lead and do things the way you feel like they're supposed to be done in your industry. I think a lot of the cons are you have to have good coping mechanisms going into your own business and in life in general. You know, if you don't, it gets really hard. It's very stressful because, you know, as Marc said, one moment you're talking to employees about their own problems and their own issues, and you're always worried about the next guy leaving because he's going to this other company for $1 more. You're stressing over jobs, whether or not you bid them correctly. Did you bid it too low? Are you going to make money? Are you going to make payroll? So there are a lot of challenges, and in fact, I'd say the first 10 years of my business, I kept hoping the phone would ring and someone would hire me to go to another job, because it's hard. And it probably wasn't until, I would say, so we started in '06, probably about 2014, 15, when I finally said, you know what, this is going to work. This can be a viable business. We started making a little bit of money at the end of the year. So, that's another pro. You can finally, after many years, you get your systems right, you can start making some money. So I would say that's a pro, but there's a lot of pros and cons. So, thank you.
Thank you. Before I ask the next question, make sure you have the cards on your table. If you have any questions, please write them down so that we can come over and then capture them. We were talking in a way about employees. I want to hear about the story about your first employee and how has that progressed over the years. And talk about practices. Did you rely on any coaching expertise to be able to manage employees? Marc?
Well, my first employee was another tradesman. So, again, starting off, it was just me and two guys, and we went out there and just started doing the work and running equipment, doing all the work, then having to do payroll at night and calling locates. And so, it was work 10 hours and then work another 5 when you get home. And so it's kind of crazy, but then 6-8 months into it, my brother became my partner, which was a big help. So he runs the office side of it, so I didn't have to worry about all that stuff. So I could just go out there and play in the dirt and have fun, and he could worry about all the legal stuff and bidding and everything. So it's been a great opportunity, and I think it's helped our growth because we rely on each other's expertise. So, but hiring employees is, in the beginning, we would hire anybody that came in the door just to grow the company because we needed people. But as we've grown, we've kind of been more selective in the hiring process, looking for people that buy into our culture and want to, be part of a team. So it's been nice to do that in the interviewing, and I interview most of the field guys. I ask them, what I need is somebody that's going to be a good fit for our company, but we need to be a good fit for them because, I'm looking for somebody that wants a career, not a job. If they're looking for a job, we'll give them a job, but in my mind, then that's somebody that I'm not going to spend a lot of time training. But you'd be surprised, a lot of people want to be in the construction industry. They didn't go and get a 4-year degree, so they can make a career out of one of our companies, and that's the people I'm looking for.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, we started working, it was just myself, kind of like up on the board, owner-operator. And then as I got more work, I started hiring some part-time people to help me on heavier jobs or just more manual labor, and would have them, do a task and then go verify the task was done correctly and so forth. And then we started hiring full-time people, and it was definitely a learning process. I came to realize it doesn't matter how much training they have or education, really matters on their core values. We had a slogan one time, we rate our integrity as to what we do when no one's looking. And that's what it really comes down to. Locke is there to keep honest people honest. So if we hire people that have core values, that they can't do certain things, they can't take something that's not theirs. It's hard for them, it's uncomfortable for them to tell a lie. And those are people with good core values, and you can easily teach them which end of the screwdriver goes in their hand. Like that's what a lot of times people look for, but that's the last thing that we look for. We can teach them all those things, all the technical things, the tools, how to use the tools, but you have to start with a good core value.
Thank you. Scott?
Yeah, when I first started, it was just me in the field, and we were doing new construction, brand new small homes in Daytona, and I needed help. My father-in-law suggested I go to the local labor hall and get somebody. So I got a guy, and he ended up working with me for about 6 months, and he'd spent 17 years in prison for murdering someone, and but he was a good worker, and it was like we were doing new construction. We weren't at people's homes, so it worked out just fine. But after that, I ended up hiring a few guys here and there, and we slowly grew. We had 3 to 4 guys, 5 to 6 after year 5, and then I hired a part-time bookkeeper, and then we just continued to grow from there. But today, as Glen says, we try and hire on people's core values. We actually do a skills test when we interview people. We try and do group interviews, so we see multiple people at once, and then just kind of weed out the ones we want to actually do a deep dive on. But once they get in our group, we really try and, of course, influence our culture by our core values. And we communicate our core values. We let them know right up front when we're interviewing what they are. And at the end of the day, when we have a problem, we just try and point back to our core values. Hey, one of my core values is reliability. You're constantly late. If this doesn't improve, we'll invite you to leave. And it's simple as that. And so core values are really important. Obviously, most companies that are reputable have good core values, and we've just tried to continue to use those to mold our culture.
Thank you. Before I open it up to the public, I have one last question. Just quickly, do you have any advice or observation for us about careers in skilled trades?
Well, it sounds to me like I need to open a plumbing company or welder, Yeah. So I actually had this conversation with my friend. He's in construction as well, and his son. He was talking about his son needing to go into a field, and I told him, this is 2 years ago. I said, you need to tell them to go into plumbing. They need plumbers, and they make a lot of money. They make more than me.
Thank you. Scott? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Glen?
Yeah. Yeah, just as far as changing professions, we've had people come and do that. It's really where you want to grow and what you want to be. As far as younger kids out there, high school or college age or so, really what they enjoy doing, what they're interested in. If you enjoy doing it, you don't want it to be a hobby. It's a job to make money, but you want to find satisfaction in the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Marc, do you have anything?
Yeah, I would say for the younger generation, and my son's 24, so some of his friends, if they're not going to go to college, come out here and work, but a lot of these young generation don't want to work out here in the heat and stuff. So for any of the trades, it takes time, but you can make a good living as you progress and, become a pipe layer, become an operator, a foreman, and I went that same route, and then I threw in, a couple years of school at Daytona State. So there's an opportunity there. It's just trying to get the younger generation to understand that they're not all going to be TikTok millionaires. So
Thank you. Brad, I believe you have questions from the audience.
We have sound. All right. I'm going to paraphrase this when it's written a little long. But for the panel, in our society, a 4-year degree is seen as really the standard that most should aspire to for career development. You've demonstrated that that's not always the case, and what are you doing to advance or change the narrative where a society doesn't always go to the 4-year degree as the default, but can pursue careers? Or the things that you're doing to help change that narrative?
I think trying to give an opportunity to individuals that don't have a 4-year degree or don't have the ability to get it. Some people just don't have the money. They don't want to borrow money, and you know, so that's why I say when I interview people, if they're willing and able and they want to come to work every day and work hard, we can make a career. And that's why I ask them, are you looking for a job or are you looking for a career? Because if they're looking for a career, we have opportunities. I mean, not only in the field working with me, they can go in the office and work with my brother, and we can teach them project management. And you don't necessarily have to have a 4-year degree to do what we're doing. It's not brain surgery. I know everyone here probably doesn't do the things that we do. So, but again, it's not hard. It's just a matter of wanting to do it and a willingness. So if somebody shows that willingness, then there's plenty of opportunities at Hazen Construction, and I'm sure with these guys also.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you need to show a career path for individuals to see how they can grow and improve, and you need to help them along. So we try and do that through standard operating procedures at a basic level. You know, we have what we call A1 or Apprentice 1. We have several SOPs for the A1 level, and then A2, P1, Painter 1, Painter 2, and we just try and keep growing them and helping them develop. Once they get to a job leader or crew leader, we have leadership training that we do every other Wednesday, basically 10 months a year, and we're pouring into them. I mean, these are painters, but you know, it's really important for them to learn emotional intelligence, situational leadership, job site leadership training, crucial conversations. And, you know, the more I can pour into my leaders, the more they can better manage their team. So we just try and create opportunities for growth and try and help them see that.
We have time for one question, yes, one last question.
How can the community partner with you to improve the interest and the flow of candidates into these critical jobs?
Well, I would say if, you know, as far as the community goes, as you have friends and your own children and your friends and their kids and other people you know, just let them know that there's alternatives out there. You know, the narrative that you have to go to a 4-year college, I don't know how that became a statement, like you have to go to a 4-year college. If you went to the military for 4 years, or if you went to college for 4 years, or out of high school, if you went and started in the construction industry or you know, any type of job for 4 years, at the end of that, who would have the most knowledge and who would be the most well-rounded and ready to advance in life? That'd be a good question. It'd be a good study to look at that and see. But I don't think it'd be what we would consider or what we would think.
Perfect. Well, thank you. A round of applause for our panelists. If I can offer one last comment. Let me turn this off, I'm sorry. We heard 3 stories, 3 success stories, if I may add. 3 businesses that are thriving in our community, and they have been able to grow into employer status. We saw a graph as well. We learned that there is something like to the tune of 6,000 individuals right now who are out there performing some kind of service in construction and manufacturing. That's a big number, okay? And we as a community are hopeful that they have the business acumen to make those businesses successful. Successful enough that hopefully they transition into becoming an employer at some point. And so we recognize this, and we're doing something about it in economic development. You all know that we have taken on the management of the Volusia Business Incubator, now branded as the Volusia Innovation Hub. One of the key reasons why we wanted to take on the management of this incubator, and let me give a kudos to UCF, who did a wonderful job over the course of 13 years to get us where we're at today. Now we find ourselves in a new stage, a stage where we want to help these kinds of businesses grow, thrive, okay? UCF had a program that benefited certain kinds of businesses, but now we're opening this up to trades, lifestyle businesses, any kind of business in the community, we can help now. And the idea is to help those 6,000 people who are right now, we're speaking right now, they're out there in the heat performing the services and helping the community and doing the best they can. We want to give them the resources they need to be able to succeed and to be able to grow and to hopefully hire individuals. I want to invite you to our launch party, with the rocket, September 15th at the incubator next door. It's that way, yes, that way. And I want you to meet. So one thing that we were happy to accomplish was in the transition, we were able to retain what I think is one of the, if not the most important resource at the incubator, and it's the human power. There was a person behind the success of the incubator all these years, and this person agreed to join our team. So help me welcome, please, Connie Garzon. When I approached Connie the first time and told her the transition that we were planning, I tasked her with developing programs that would benefit trades, lifestyle businesses, and she came back with something that was completely killer, something amazing. And I think you'll be excited when you come over to this event on September 15th. And by the way, that's a QR code to register. I would love to see phones going up and kind of, scanning the QR code. You'll be able to walk the facility. You will be able to get to know the programs, understand what they're about, and meet some of the existing clients. So again, we're very excited to see all the energy that Connie's putting into this and all the benefit that it's going to bring our community, a much needed resource for all those folks out there who want to grow their business. So with that said, do we have a flyer on your tables with a QR code as well? So if we close the screen here, you still have the flyer on your place, and please come. I think it's something. Let's support the community. Let's support this effort because we need it. Okay. So with that said, thank you for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you next quarter.